Hey YouTube, Zomedica is out with some big news today, so I want to go over that, and then I want to go to their chart and see how the market is digesting that news, and then maybe we can see what's coming next. And then after that, I have some other nice looking charts that I want to show you of some stocks that could be going up very soon. And then after that, I'm going to get to some of your questions. If you're new to my channel, I like to trade and invest in typically lower price stocks, so if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor, so do all of your own research before buying any of these stocks. Well, in the news today, it says Zomedica Corporation announced that yesterday they recorded the first veterinarian sale of Truforma and officially entered commercialization. This is a momentous day for Zomedica, our shareholders, the veterinarians we serve, and the companion animals in their care, says Robert Cohen, Zomedica's CEO. It is a credit to both our employees and to the stellar team with whom we have worked at our developmental partner, Qorvo Biotechnologies, that we have created a unique and valuable diagnostic tool and have delivered it to the veterinary market slightly ahead of our previously announced schedule. James Klein, the president of Qorvo Biotechnology, says, "At Qorvo, we are leveraging the power of bulk acoustic wave radio frequency technology to innovate numerous products such as Wi-Fi routers, mobile phones, 5G cellular infrastructure, and now veterinary diagnostics. The launch of Truforma platform is an exciting and disruptive milestone in the veterinary diagnostics testing industry that will raise the standard of point of care for companion animals." The first official purchaser of Truforma system was Jason Berg, the founder and president of Guardian Veterinary Specialists, a 29,000 square foot advanced emergency critical care and specialty hospital in Brewster, New York. Dr. Berg said, "As a veterinarian and business owner, I have devoted myself to advancing the practice of veterinary internal medicine and delivering care with a difference, doing more, providing more, and caring more. I am excited to be the first veterinarian to purchase Truforma. Now I will be able to go above and beyond the current standard of care to provide cutting-edge and novel testing to pet owners and veterinarians in 7 surrounding counties across 2 states. The ability to reliably and accurately measure cortisol on site in our emergency service at Guardian Veterinary Specialists has the potential to save lives." So there you have it, the first sale of Truforma, and it's ahead of schedule. It's going to be exciting to see how well this product sells in the next coming months and years. Okay, so let's jump over to my TC2000 charting software and see what we can get out of this current price action. If I zoom in a little bit, we can see it is in the middle of a pretty nasty bearish engulfing candle, so it's a pretty nasty down day. It's down about 11% at the moment. There's still a couple hours left, so it's going to be interesting to see if it can hold above this 8-period exponential moving average. Now, today's action is just a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of play. It's nothing to get into too much of a twist about if you are a long-term believer in this company. And if you are a long-term believer in this company, this is a very good day. So you probably should be taking advantage of this and scooping up shares if you don't have as much as you want already. But it is approaching that 8-period exponential moving average, and with a day like this, I would expect probably some more follow through to the downside if the day continues to go like this. Usually when you get a big nasty day that ends at the low, you do get some follow through, at least in the morning of the next day, so it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But let's go to the long-term chart. Let's go to the weekly chart. And if we go to the weekly chart, we can see that a few weeks ago, it broke through that 8-period exponential moving average twice, but then immediately got right back above it. And then the following week, it had a nice bounce off of it. So even if this stock does pull back some more, all the way down to this white line, technically it is still in a very strong uptrend when you look at the long-term trend of this stock. And there's still been a lot of volume coming in, and in this consolidation it's had for the last 4 or 5 weeks, you can see volume has really tapered off. So if this stock can hold up around these levels by the time this 8-period exponential moving average catches up, I think volume's going to come back into this stock and probably send it to a new high. If we go back to the daily chart real quick, we can see it is already coming around the nice side of a rounding bottom, had actually a little bit of a double bottom here, just above the 50-period simple moving average. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a fantastically bullish chart, and this is a great time to buy the stock. Now, me personally, I would wait to see if it ended on the low of the day, and then if it continued down tomorrow, that would probably be the day that I would try to scoop up some shares, just because there's no sense in trying to buy it too early if you know that the probability is it's probably going to have a little bit of a follow through, at least in the first half of the day, the next day. So those are my thoughts on Zomedica's daily chart. Let's go intraday real quick, because right now it's at a pretty crucial support area. You know, if we back this chart out, we can see that this is some pretty concrete support where it's at right now. So if I zoom in a little bit, we can see it is trying to get back above it, but it is desperately trying to hold it. And I think if the day ends right where it's at right now, especially below that support area, I definitely think we are going to get a little bit more follow through to the downside. Now, of course, that is not the end of the world. And if you are a long-term believer in this stock, that's great news, because you're going to be able to pick up the shares a little bit cheaper. If you are a swing trader like me, then you know there's probably going to be a swing move up coming soon after another day or two, I would bet. So that's also good news if you're a swing trader. So even though today is a pretty nasty down day, let's go back to the daily chart. Even though it's a pretty nasty down day, honestly, these are the type of days you want to be either buying or getting pretty close to buying, because you know, Zomedica's came out with their product. It's ahead of schedule. It's being delivered. And now that the product is out, you know, all you can do is wait to see how successful it's going to be. And a lot of people think this is going to be successful. So it's actually a pretty exciting time to be buying Zomedica's stock. All right, well, let's get into some other nice-looking chart patterns I think have a good potential to go up in the next several days. That's, of course, if the market doesn't roll over, which it looks like it's in danger of doing right now. The NASDAQ started up strong, but it now is starting to get pulled down by some of the other ones. It was actually with the NASDAQ being up and the other two kind of being down, it looked like the rotation was starting to head back into the tech stocks, which of course is a good thing for the market, but we'll have to see how that shakes out. But anyway, first one I want to show you is PXLW. Now this one was starting to reverse off that 50-period simple moving average. Of course, it's pulling back from the highs when I put it on this list for the video, but it is still looking pretty strong. And if we zoom into the 15-minute chart, we can see at the 15-minute chart is starting to pull back. It is making a very nice looking bullish flag, actually, right at the current day's price action. But if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that it's been in a decent little channel. Draw that channel line on that one. And we can see that it's busting out of it right now. It had a little bit of resistance at the upper end of that channel, pulled back, and now it's exploding through it. And of course, you know, if I get this out of here real quick, this is making one of these nice rounded bottom patterns with the inverted head and shoulder. There's a shoulder, there's a head with the false break, and then the immediate bounce right back up into that consolidation. And now we are getting that breakout above this neckline. So it's at a very exciting part in the chart for PXLW. Unfortunately, the market is trying to throw a wrench in everything, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking any of these positions today. I am going to have to see how the market reacts in the last hour. So if the market can turn around and start to rally in the last hour, probably going to be a little bit more confident to take some positions to the long side. But PXLW is looking pretty good at the moment. I couldn't find very many of these stocks. So PXLW, I think, was looking like one of the better ones. Another one that I found was METX. Now, if we look at METX, we can see it hasn't been traded for very long. It's actually been mired in a pretty steep downtrend. But look what we got going on in these last couple of months. If I zoom in a little bit, we can see we are starting to catch a bid. It's pulled back down to this 50-period simple moving average, and now it has held support, bounced up, and is pulling right back down to that 8-period exponential moving average. But you can see The accumulation that's been going on in these last several weeks, all these big, huge green bars compared to the red bars, that is telling you one thing and one thing only, and that is that it is being accumulated. Now, it is. I would like to see it go sideways a little bit longer, but I don't know if that's going to happen because it looks like it's being accumulated pretty fiercely. So METX is a very interesting stock chart to me right now, and this is one I'm definitely going to be watching closely in the next several days and weeks. And if this thing can start to move up, catch this 8-period exponential moving average, and make another bullish candle, I think I'm going to jump on board and take a position in METX, because this chart pattern is starting to look very nice, coming right around a rounded bottom, and the accumulation is happening pretty quickly. So METX is definitely worth watching. Next one I want to show you is JAGX. Jaguar Health. I actually did a video on Jaguar Health several weeks ago. It's actually might even been a couple of months, but anyway, this stock is starting to make the beginning part of that rounded bottom. It had a nice breakdown and then a reversal right back up above the 8-period exponential moving average. So all this thing needs to do is start drifting a little bit higher and carving out the right side of this rounded bottom. And I think JAGX could be headed higher in the next couple of days, weeks, or maybe even months. Who knows how long? Sometimes these take a little bit of a while to play out, but it's definitely got the first stages of this rounded bottom in, and it did go up on pretty decent volume just a few days ago, and then of course a few weeks ago as well. So the last 2 days have been well above the average daily volume have been green days. So that shows you that the stock is still under somewhat of accumulation, and it's definitely worth keeping on your watch list. All right, well, let's get into some questions. The first one was from DKY Interiors. He was asking me about MCFE. This is McAfee Corporation, and McAfee Corporation is down slightly today, about 2.5% as I'm making this video. And it's probably being dragged down by the overall market because it looked like it was poised to break out of this bullish triangle, this bullish flag, whatever you want to call it. But it is reversing as I am making the video, and it's still above that 8-period exponential moving average. So there's no reason to get bearish on this stock just yet. And if you look at yesterday's price action, you can see that it was up on much greater than average volume. So it looked like it was poised to break out. But unfortunately, the market is trending down right now, so that is dragging this one down, and that happens sometimes. Doesn't mean that the pattern is shot. It just means you might need to have another day or two to chop around before it can bust out of there. But if we go to the 15-minute chart, we can definitely see it is making a nice rounding bottom that looks ready to explode higher because it failed once, twice, 3 times to break out. And it's now starting to trend down just a hair because the market is dragging it down. Now, this is the type of pattern that I like to buy options for if it's right towards the end of the week. And MCFE is definitely making one of those patterns. Of course, it is early on in the week, so I would probably hesitate to buy it. But if this was happening on like a Wednesday or a Thursday, I would probably take a shot on some out-of-the-money options, probably the 25 call if you could get them for pretty cheap, which you probably could on MCFE because it's not a hugely volatile stock. So a lot of times you can get those out-of-the-money calls for pretty cheap that are expiring in the next day or two, and it's a trade that probably isn't going to be that accurate. But when you do get it right, you got a chance for a pretty big gainer. And we actually did that in a Patreon last week with American Airlines. Let me go back to the daily chart. But this is what I was looking at last week on a Thursday. Let me see if I can back it up. This is basically what, let me see if I can get it here. I miss the old TC2000 trading platform because they used to have a little button where you could just click it and it would just walk it ahead one day. But now they got rid of that button, or at least I can't find it. It might be a hotkey now. I might have to check that out. I have to try to finagle this little thing around down here with the mouse. And anyway, this was last Thursday. It looked like it was poised to break out. So I went and checked out the options, and I believe we bought the 23 call. I think we paid right around 12 cents for them. And of course, the next day, it did have that breakout, and even though that move doesn't look like it's pretty big, which it's not very big on this chart, those options paid more than a triple, so a little over 300% or so we made on those options. And actually, if we'd had one more day left on those options, we'd have had an even bigger move up the next day. So if there's a couple days left on them, I don't mind buying them on Wednesday, because if you do get a 2-day breakout, those options will pay off pretty handsomely. But that is what MCFE is kind of looking like right now. If the market wasn't pulling back like it is, I would be a little bit more bullish on it. But if it was closer to that breakout area and it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday, I would probably strongly consider taking a shot on some options on MCFE. It's not a very robustly traded stock, so I'm guessing the options are probably going to be a little bit thin on these ones. They should be okay being a $23 stock, but they're probably not going to be one of the more robustly traded options out there. You just have to check out the open interest. But those are my thoughts on McAfee Corporation. Still a nice looking chart pattern. I'm assuming you're probably owning this one. If you do already own it, I would definitely sit tight. It's definitely a hold. There's no reason to get rid of it just yet. But the next stock I want to check out is from John Hanna. He asked me to check out CBW TF. And this is a 30-cent stock, and it is a cannabis stock. I don't think I've ever seen this one before. This must be a Canadian company because it doesn't show up on my software over there. So anyway, it is a very bullish looking chart. It's definitely doing a nice creeping uptrend. And what you would want to see on this stock is a break above this resistance area and then a hold. If it breaks above that resistance area and holds and starts to hook up again, you can tell then you would be able to tell that it's probably going to start the next leg up. If it has an explosion through that line and an immediate reversal back under it, then it was just a false signal. You don't want to buy it just yet. So definitely wait for this one to break above that trend line and then hold it for a couple of days. And you can see this trend line is rock solid. So this could actually be a pretty big explosion through this trend line. You might not even have time to wait for it to kind of consolidate above and show and prove to you that it's going to hold above that line, because it might just take off without you, because as of right now it hasn't even traded 1 million shares yet, and it's only a 30-cent stock. So this float on this company isn't very big, and it's already made a nice rounding bottom. So just a beautiful formation. I don't know, maybe on this one I would probably just take a shot on a breakout, because like I said, if this thing gets going, it might not wait for you. But CBWTF, definitely a nice looking chart. I appreciate you showing me this one, John. I'm definitely going to keep this on my watch list. Who knows, I might even buy some of this today. Just start a little position on it to anticipate the breakout, because it looks like a breakout is definitely imminent. You have these lows starting to rise into this resistance area, and that's exactly what I look for a nice breakout potential. Let's go and take a look at MINE, and Epic 801 sent me a question about that stock. I almost think that Epic might have asked me about this before, or maybe somebody else did, but this is definitely a nice looking chart pattern at the moment. It's had 2 nice bounces off the 50-period simple moving average. Boom, right back above the 8-period exponential moving average, and it is starting to hold it. A lot of people look at this kind of bearish candle and say this is not a good thing, but as long as it holds above that 8-period exponential moving average, it continues to consolidate above it. In my book, it doesn't matter if it's a green or a red candle, it's still a consolidation. And this is a stock that is under a penny, so tons of upside in this one. MINE, I believe they're in the Bitcoin space, because I think I've seen this somewhere just off the top of my head. I'm thinking maybe they are in the Bitcoin space, maybe not. But it's definitely a nice looking chart patterns back above that 8-period exponential moving average. So I am going to be watching this one as well. I'll have to check my broker and see if I'm allowed to buy it. They've been blocking me lately on these type of stocks, so I definitely can't say that I'm going to jump in and buy this just yet, because I probably don't have the ability with my broker. But definitely a nice looking chart for MINE. Okay, everybody, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments about any of these stocks, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.